went smoothly this time. See? Fix the timer and it all works. Welcome to the Pastor and Professor Podcast, episode 14. Doug, I think you're still muted. I think, maybe. There we go. See, it didn't go as smoothly. Didn't go as smoothly as I just said.
I do that every time. I'm sitting there making faces and people are like going, what's that dude up to?
Yeah. So one of these days, one of these episodes, we will get it. So welcome to episode 14, Doug. We're on 14, episode 14 of the Pastor and Professor Podcast. I am going to put the, what's the word I'm looking for? The disclaimer out right now. I am, my words are not here. I am shooting. What is it? Airing? Shooting? Shooting?
Shooting's good.
I'm live from Starlight Campground in northern Michigan. It is a busier day here at Starlight, so we have a lot of people coming in and out. We got people playing basketball. We have people playing pickleball, probably, maybe grass cutting. People just coming in and looking like, what the heck's going on in there? Workers coming in asking me questions. My kids texting me, so. Yeah.
Hey, you're a busy man in a busy place.
We'll see. So we have a lot to talk about today. And share, and I am excited. I have not talked to Doug in a little bit. We've both been really busy. We both traveled. So we're going to catch up on that live. I have not heard any of the story. He started telling me a little bit in the pre-show, and I had to stop him because I wanted to hear it with you all. So if you are watching or listening, please let us know in the chat. We'll bring you on, bring your comment on stage. We can interact with you that way. I am going to do something a little bit different too. Let me go back here. This is a surprise, Doug. Surprise. I am. If I can figure this out. I am going to open up, if you're in chat, if you're listening, and anything you want to comment on. I know there were a couple of people that said they want to kind of come on the show and give some reactions to some of the things that I've shared personally with them. And so if you want to, we're going to take some phone calls if people want to call in. I did not put the number live on the thing. I guess I could do it. But our number is, maybe I can get it, is 312-450-0306. That's 312-450-0306. I'll see if I can't put it on the screen at some point too. But we'll work on that for other shows. Have a call-in option too if people just want to call in and comment on anything we're said or give us a little flack or anything like that. So Doug. Yeah. Hi.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I am good. It's been a whirlwind these last 2 weeks. But as I was mentioning, and you usually told me to hold off on my catch-up conversation, I was in Texas for a week. Very hot in Texas. 103 degrees all 7 days I was down there. And even when the wind blows, it's like somebody blowing a hairdryer in your face.
And I think
you and I share that shared experience of being in Calabasas with triple-digit heat during the summer. Woo! Yep.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it as long as it's not humid. But like we were in the 90s twice here this week, and one day was 80% humidity, and I actually got sick. I threw up. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's brutal. That's brutal. I'm so glad we don't have that here. Okay. But so anyway, I was there for a men's retreat. And to see some folks that I know in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Retreat went great. Men enjoyed it. Were ministered to. I enjoyed it. That's my second time at this men's retreat for Myrrh Ministries. Shout out to Myrrh Ministries. And I got the chance to sit down and have dinner with my brother who lives close to Dallas. And that was awesome. Always awesome to see him. Then some friends. I've got pastors from Virginia that have moved there, and we had a great dinner and I stayed with them a night. And then one of my former youth leaders from here in California, from Torrance, Coast Christian in Torrance, moved out there. So we got a chance to have a brunch and catch up. And it was really good. It was the host family that I stayed with was also from that same church here in Torrance. They moved out there probably about 10 or 12 years ago. Well, moved east and then eventually settled in Dallas. They were in Florida for a couple of years. But anyway, I digress. Great trip. but I came back this last Tuesday to hosting another pastor friend from Virginia who was out here visiting, and we got to spend 2 days with him. It was awesome. But I haven't even unpacked. So I'm just like, woo, you know, all the stuff swirling around me still, but I know we needed to get back into our show. And so I'm excited that we got an opportunity to get on here and share what's happening, and especially excited to hear your story, because I loved what you shared already online, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of it.
Yeah. All right. So last week we had a goal of keeping it to an hour and no crying. We succeeded on one of those fronts. I don't think we're exceeding on either one.
Right.
And I wasn't going to get emotional on this, but I am. Surprise. I just wanted to reiterate my love for you. And hold my hand through this season. And like I said, I sent you a text that you were in that water with me, and and came up with me. So I left a lot behind in that water, but I was thankful that you rose with me, and I just wanted to thank you for everything, and reconnecting with you and Monica has been
privilege and pleasure on our end, brother. We love you and your wife and your family, and so glad, even though there are many miles between us, that doesn't really stand between us. And getting and it's an honor to help you walk through this season of your life, and because you have a lot to accomplish still, and I want to make sure that happens.
Yeah, you're not gonna believe. We haven't talked, right? I haven't told you the story of Sunday, right? Other than what you saw on.
Nope, not yet.
I think so. You're gonna freak about one of the things that happened. So first of all, I have a couple follow-up questions before we get into that. I have a couple follow-up questions on your trip.
Yeah.
What was your topic? What did you talk about in your?
It was actually interesting, because usually I kind of go, all right, God, what do you want to say? And I spoke last year, like I said, and so I felt like God gave me something very specific that was really weird. We were in a place called Broken Bow, Oklahoma last year. This year we were just outside of Dallas, but and I kind of felt something from the Lord in relationship to that. So the men's retreat was called Broken Arrows, or the theme title, whatever you want to call it, was Broken Arrows and Broken Bow. And it had to do with the prophet in the Old Testament who goes and visits the king, I believe it's Hezekiah, who's dying. And, so it has to do with broken arrows. He shoots the arrow of victory through the window, and he says, take the arrows and strike them on the ground. And he does that. And so anyway, so God gave me that theme last year, really hit home with the gentleman. We talked about discipleship, what it means to lead. This year, our host, Vince, had a word from the Lord about sons. And he actually opened up this men's retreat to people to bring their sons with them, fathers to bring their sons with them. And so we had a couple younger guys there, which was really cool. Having some teenagers. It's a great age, of figuring out who you are. And so I named the retreat this year Sons in His House. And I used several examples of sons in the scriptures, from Cain and Abel to the prodigal son and his brother, to Jacob and Esau.
There goes my light.
And just really talk about
hold on.
You. Oh, no worries.
Live TV, gotta love it. Let me see if my camera's still. It was windy last night. It was like 60-mile-an-hour winds yesterday. All right. So
okay.
I think we're good.
Well, that's good. We need some drama. We need something to
move this way.
Break up the monotony. All right. So, yeah, I really felt like, and this is a subject that you've latched onto pretty good in our discussions about, my book as well as just life in general, how identity empowers purpose, right?
Yeah.
That we are always God's sons, but a lot of times we don't see ourselves as that. We can see ourselves as orphans. We can see ourselves as slaves or servants, right? But really, and the reality is God wants to have a relationship with us as sons. See him as a father. That's one of the main things that Jesus came to do, was to reveal the Father. Israel at that time and the Jews at that time had basically, been in exile and then come back, and they kind of had God at a distance, right? They were, didn't really view him as they didn't have the personal relationship that God desired. So it became a lot about form and function and religion and less about relationship. So that's what I kind of dove into at the retreat with these guys, of just saying, look, you got to see yourself as a son, and you need to see God as your father.
You again in a second.
It's not a religion, it's a relationship. So
wind.
Okay.
Sorry.
Or lose you.
Yeah,
that's all good.
I'm just going to take the light off, and then the camera won't blow down.
Yeah, you're okay.
And we're good.
You've got a...
now it's natural light.
Amount of
natural
direct light. Natural light. Oh, natural.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool. That's cool.
So that was a retreat. Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to you a little bit, because I got to see one of my brothers, for the first time in a while too. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when I start telling the story. But tell me a little bit about your visit with your brother. How often you get to see him or talk to him, or?
Well, he's in Texas. I'm in California, and usually when I travel abroad to see family, it's back to Virginia. So not as often as I'd like, but I've probably seen him a few times in the last couple of years. Obviously, last year when I went to the men's retreat, I drove down to his house and spent a day there. This time he happened to be in my neighborhood, which was really helpful because I didn't have to drive 3 hours.
Yeah.
So we just went out. We met at a local restaurant and went out to dinner, and it was really good. It's really good catching up. A lot has changed with him in the last 2 years, so it was good to kind of get all of the story and hear it face to face and not just on a phone call. We used to run around and get in trouble together, so it's good to see each other and not have to worry about being arrested.
Yes, that's good. That's good. I'm gonna. Yeah, I saw my brother too. Like I said, I think I switched the focus shifted as I grabbed it from. Whatever. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I was anxious to hear you catch up with your brother, and I knew you were doing the retreat, but I didn't know what your topic was and everything. So. How many people were at the retreat?
Yeah. 16. Very small and intimate crew in a house that a lady down there lets the ministry use, right on a lake, Lake Ray Roberts, for any of you Texas people who may know where that's at.
Lake Ray Roberts.
But yeah, it was comfy, cozy, not too many people, so you actually get a chance to dialogue and have really good discussions with all the guys that are there. So I really like that. I mean, that's kind of why we do house church too, in that way, because it's not just a big crowd coming in, and you actually get to interact at a very personal level.
Yeah, that's cool. As I'm looking, like I just noticed the lights aren't on here in the barn, so when the cloud comes over, I get really dark. This is great. We'll figure this out. Going forward, I'm gonna have to figure out another spot. I think, unless we do it at a weird time, because it's it's gonna get busier and busier here as school's out now, so it's gonna be So
let's do it at 3:00 in the morning. We're sure to have the night owls join.
I'm fine with
us
that.
for
The barn closes at 10 here, so I can shut the doors and not have to worry about it. We'll figure it out.
There you go.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so much for me to talk about here, and I'll try to be brief. It's funny.
Tell your story, man. Don't worry about time.
Yeah, so I was looking for this. I knew a long time ago. I'm just gonna do one minor shift with the camera because it fell.
Yep.
See the top of my head better. There we go.
Yeah. So you got a gap. You're good.
So. Yep. Yeah, I knew at some point, and I've talked at length about my relationship with Elevation. From on our show to the Heartbeat Radio to whatever, and I knew at some point I felt like God was trying to get me to Charlotte to get baptized there, and it just logistically, financially, everything I couldn't really see that happening, at least not for a long time, and I really didn't want to wait forever, but I was willing to, and then all of a sudden I saw they were doing a pop-up in Columbus. I'm like, done. So I immediately signed up. They go into cities, throughout the country and partner with local organizations and do some outreach things where it's not necessarily Elevation coming in. It's the organizations that are already on the ground there doing great work, and we're just there to kind of support what they're doing. But then they have a church service and everything else, and so they've done several of them. They were in San Antonio not too long ago. They're coming to Riverside, California, sometime relatively soon. So when I saw that they were going to Columbus, it's my home state, and I was just there, a month ago, and so we were looking forward because the family had a really great time that trip. I think I had talked about how that trip was very different for us. It was a trip that all of us, particularly Annette and I, but we just since it was different, our lives were different with God walking with us on this trip and throughout. It was a really great glimpse of what our family and our life could be like. And it was great. So the kids were looking forward to going back downtown Columbus and going to the shoe. We did go to the shoe this time. So that they were thrilled about that. We couldn't get in obviously, but we took some pictures out in front and did the obligatory OHIO picture. So it was great, but
I saw that.
So they were looking forward to that. Do you have a VT thing? A VT? I don't know. You guys don't. Never mind.
Oh yeah.
Or is it gobble 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 gobble? Is that it?
Okay. Yeah, right. This is it.
All right. Hey, sorry you guys fell short of the College World Series. It was so close.
Oh, I know. Well, they didn't even predict us.
Yeah, no, they were predicted last in
division, let alone
the conference. I think. So yeah, they had the best year ever in program history.
We got a great coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe Tennessee lost.
It's exciting.
Anyway, I could go on about baseball, but so we went down. We were going to go down earlier on like Wednesday or Thursday. The kids' baseball schedules. They started playing baseball and softball this year. You know me. I love baseball. It's a lot. It's like every night. So they were going to miss games on Friday, and one of them had a game on Thursday. So we decided to stay and then leave early on Friday morning. So the last second, my mom and dad are in the process of moving. Actually, just moved. I talked to them from their new place in Cleveland a little while ago. They're in the process of moving from their place in Indiana, where we went for Elevation Nights Indy. And she was a little overwhelmed. My mom was a little overwhelmed with everything going on, all the last minute stuff and stress. And they'd been there for 30 years, and trying to move back home after 40 years. And it was just a lot for her. So at the last second, we weren't going to stay at my mom and dad's. So I was like, oh, okay, we'll figure something else out. So I said, let's just grab some tents. We weren't going to tow our camper down. It's all set up here. So one of these people here are great. And, after last year, they're such a part of my family and who I am. And I put on our little internal chat thing within the campground and asked if anybody had a camp. I told them kind of the circumstances. They all knew I was going down for my baptism, and they were all so so excited. It was a big weekend here too. It was one of the owners' retirement parties, and it was a really big weekend here. But they were. So I just put it out there, and one of the couples came right over and said, "What do you need? Whatever you need, we will get you, and you're not going to not go." So, they went over and they picked up a tent from their sister, like 45 minutes away, and brought it to me. And it seemed like a simple gesture, but it was very, very touching. It's just indicative of who they are. It was great. So we had two tents. We had two smaller tents, and we were gonna camp somewhere. And so I was scrambling to try and find campgrounds. Couldn't find campgrounds that were open. I finally found one, and then at the last second, so we were going, and then my brother Mark calls me, who was at my mom and dad's house in Indiana helping them move. He's about an hour from Columbus, and he said, "Wait, hey, I'm on my way back." So we should get there about 10:30 tonight, and you're more than welcome to go there. So I think I had mentioned about maybe pitching tents in their backyard. Anyway, so it was the last second change, and we got there, and we stayed in the house, obviously not in the backyard, which was good because the mosquitoes sucked. Mosquitoes sucked bad.
Oh yeah.
So it was great that we got to spend time there. I'll get back to my brother in a second, but my brother got to see my kids, and my sister-in-law got to spend a little time with my kids, which was always great. It was just really great. It was just one of those things that things were falling into place. So on Saturday, we got there late Friday night and spent a little bit of time catching up, and then we had to leave early next morning because we had signed up for one of the volunteer things. So they had 3 options for us. Again, partnering with local organizations. And so this is the first time we were doing something as a family, a volunteer thing as a family. And so my kids are 10 and 8. And so there was 3 options. One was a Build-A-Bed program where they're building beds for kids to get them off the floor if they're at home, and they help build beds and deliver the beds to those families. And then the second one was a human trafficking organization. I wasn't going to do that with my kids. The Build-A-Bed we could have. I didn't know if they were going to be able to physically do it or if they could even help. But the third one was a block party, to volunteer at a block party. I'm like, I do events like that all the time.
That's it. Come on.
I was like,
come on.
Easy peasy. Like, that's what we do, yo. I was like, that's it. We're in. In fact, I even emailed and said, hey, this is what I do. I'm more than willing to bring games down and do all this and stuff. And so we get there, the church, early morning. It was actually with Dream Center based in LA.
Oh,
this organization. There's a one in Columbus, and so this is through the Dream Center. They go do these block parties in underserved, underprivileged areas in Columbus area. And so we get there, and they bring us into the auditorium and say, okay, listen, this is what we're going to do today. We have to kind of give you some guidelines. Under no circumstances should you ever be alone. And make sure you're always in threes. Make sure there's always a male with you. Don't ever be all 3 males, though, because that can be a problem too. And you're going to see things, drugs, alcohol, violence. So some of our group were going to go door to door and knock on doors and invite people to the party. There's a little park in the neighborhood we went to, and we were inviting them over to the park. But they said, listen, you might go to there and they might be very angry at you. Like, who the hell are you coming to my neighborhood? Like, things like that. And, violent stuff or whatever. So I was like, Annette and I were both looking at each other going, oh crap, what did we get ourselves into with the kids in there? I'm like, so it was very different than I had envisioned. I was envisioning block parties like in Chicago and stuff. It was, so we were both uncomfortable. Let's say that. And from there, it was amazing. It was just absolutely amazing. So Juju and Annetta, Juju volunteered to be one of the people that goes door to door. Like, she's the bravest child. I mean, I didn't do it. I didn't volunteer as an adult. So, so Annetta and Juju were some of the people that went door to door, inviting people over, and we had grills. So we were grilling and we had water balloons, we had water fights, we had a foam machine, we had music, we had all kinds of stuff, and we were just inviting people out. And others were cleaning up. There was a lot of garbage in the park, so we first went and cleaned the park and making it safe for everybody. And it was just great. This Dream Center had been in this Thornwood neighborhood for a while. And they knew several of the families and so forth. Again, it wasn't us coming in, saving the neighborhood or anything like that. This was really getting them to empower them to, take care of their neighborhoods and be proud of their neighborhood and things like that. So we had some people that were already familiar with the Dream Center, which is just down the street from them. But a lot of people that hadn't known, they'd seen them previously. We had a whole bunch of kids there that were there for the first time. And so it's one of those things. We got a lot of people. We got the park, and it's a beautiful little park. Cleaned it up, and it was just really great. I was so proud of my family. It was just everything went so smooth, and because of that's kind of what we do and who we are. It was really our family that kind of took over the event, where I was grilling and talking to people and welcoming them. I remember the kids. It was one of those things when people first got there. They were kind of timid and not really saying much to each other. And there we had these water these little squirt guns we had suck in the water. And so me and one of the shout out to Kenny Smith, by the way, not Kenny the Jet Smith, Kenny Smith, who I met from a volunteer at Dream Center, and Skylar were the volunteers or organizer of that. And so Kenny and I just took the squirt guns and just started spraying each other and then spraying everybody else. The kids jumped in and it just like everything exploded after that. And it was just chaos. So the kids had a great time. The parents were in there. It was just really great. My kids, I was so proud of them engaging with the neighborhood kids and, just rolling around in foam together and squirt guns. And it was so great. And I was so proud of my family for stepping up and doing that. It was just really, really great. We went a little bit out of our comfort zone with having them with us, and it was awesome. We made some really great connections too. The people we were with volunteering were really great, lovely people. I might have to tell you a little funny story, which is not going to make me in the best light here. But so Netta was telling the story how they were going to one of the doors, and there was a lot of swearing, like really violent swearing behind the F-bombs and stuff. And there was an older son of a couple he was probably in his early 20s, and he turns to Juju and goes, "So Juju, just so you know, we might run into some foul language and things like that." And I was just, Annetta said she was praying that Juju didn't say, "Oh, I hear it all the time from my dad," She's like, "Okay, yeah, okay." She played it off like, "Okay, I understand." And like Annetta's like, "Oh my gosh," she's gonna say, "Oh, my daddy does this all the time." I'm like, "Oh, okay." But no, the whole thing was great. I mean, I was just, again, I was really happy that our family again, we went from being uncomfortable to really helping that event be something that it hadn't been before, because that's what we do. That's what our family does. And it was really, really great. So
that's awesome.
So that was that. Again, made some really good connections too. And then they had a dinner Saturday night. Elevation did. And so we got to see some of the people I know from the online worship team, and the EFAM, some of the people I met in Indianapolis and in Columbus previously for Elevation Night. Sorry. And so they had a dinner on Saturday night at first I thought it was just for the people getting baptized. It wasn't that. It was some kind of VIP EFAM thing. I don't really know who was invited, who wasn't. It wasn't that large of an event. There was only probably 30 people. But I thought it was just for me, and then all of a sudden all four of us could go. So we were going to a nice Italian restaurant, so it was nice. I think I have a comment coming in, so hold on. Something came in.
Hey!
Hold on. So we went to this really nice dinner on Saturday night, which was great. We hadn't been out together in a long time at a nice restaurant. It was awesome. The food was great. Again, made really great connections there. Planted some seeds for future work with Elevation, which was one of my goals of this event, and I think that happened.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of planting seeds and paving the way for, some more volunteer work, or maybe a role with Elevation of some sort. and Ned and I have talked about looking at positions in Charlotte even as when we leave here. Who knows? I just, just connecting and it was great. So that was great. And so then it came to Sunday. And we were so busy going up into
Amen.
Sunday, the baptism. I really hadn't spent a lot of time praying about it and thinking about it. And, my vision of it was that, I've already made the commitment, and it was a celebratory thing that I was just going to come out of the water and be like, yeah, like triumphant. And it wasn't that. It was, but not outwardly. Did you see me? That imagine me crying during the whole thing. It's hard to believe. Final step that I couldn't live up to what he expected of me, or I was going to disappoint him. And I know that's not logical. I know that's not who God is. But in my mind, that was always it. Because for me, if I crossed that line and I did disappoint him, or I felt like I disappointed him and did fail in that, I don't know if I could have recovered. I really thought I would be ruined or whatever. I didn't think. Did I stop this recording? Did I stop the live? Hold on. No, we're still live. All right. I realized on the way down that it wasn't there. And the realization that there was such a weight lifted off me, because it's something that's lived with me, even when I'm not conscious of it. It's there all the time. It's like almost like a guilt thing where I'm like, I know I shouldn't feel that way. I know that I shouldn't, feel that way, but I always had, and I shouldn't let that stop me from taking that last step. But that it wasn't there, and it was it was amazing. I was just like, wow. I wasn't, it wasn't a temporary thing. I just knew it was gone. Awesome. I thought of you in that, and the rest of the people that have been here the last year through this, journey and the conversations we've had in the show and the people reaching to me and so forth, that all that work, and me being patient and really listening to God and doing what he's asking me to do, to be patient and, rest and take care of yourself until you're ready for what I have in store for you. All that came in through my mind, and it was amazing. It was amazing. So,
yeah.
And then Sunday morning comes, we go back to my brother's. Well, I'll start. I told you this is gonna be long. This is the Reader's Digest version, I promise. So we went back to Saturday night.
All good.
Saturday night to my brother's, and we were outside. He texted and asked what time we're gonna be back. He got s'mores for the kids. So he had a fire ready when we got back, and we all kind of set out for a little bit. We were all pretty beat, and the kids had to go. We had to be up early, even earlier, to get down there for the baptism, and it was just one of those most remarkable moments in my life that my brother and I sat there in the hot tub, because I actually went in the hot tub because my legs were getting eaten from mosquitoes. Like, I thought maybe the hot tub would work. It didn't help, because then I got bit everywhere. But it was, and I don't know if he's watching or Judy's watching or whatever, and we didn't really talk about this, and I'm not going to share things that he told me. But I think I had told you that he had an experience a little while ago where he heard a voice tell him that it was going to be okay. And again, I won't go into the details, but there was a lot more to that story than what I was told. And it stemmed from music. It stemmed from a song that came on the radio on the way home. So I was just like, but I was sitting there, and we had mentioned God in conversations throughout the night and some other things. But then we had just a long conversation about God and relationship. And I was sitting there, and it's like, I was just smiling. I was like, which we've never done before. We've never had that conversation like that. And, it was, I can't even put into words what it was. It was the work that I put in over the last year, and really understanding my faith and understanding my relationship and being more comfortable sharing. I think one of the things that is one of my strengths, just as in general, is making people feel comfortable quickly, or whether it's situations going like the park, and I couldn't help but think that would we have had this conversation a year before or any other time in our lives, and certainly he's been through things too in his life and so forth, but I think going through this and him hearing where I'm at and hearing the show, bits and pieces of the show and bits and pieces from my mom, I think it opened the door up for that conversation. So it was great. It was just one of those moments that I'll always remember. And, I was like, I just was smiling. It was like, that's the way God is working in my life. Like I said, last trip to Columbus, it was me opening my eyes to the other areas where God is working. I was so focused on myself, but now I saw God working in Netta, in my kids, in our marriage, in our family, and and seeing it there too. It was and we didn't talk about that. So if he hears this, he'll maybe be embarrassed. But I'm not sharing anything we shared. But yeah, it was awesome. I mean, we were only at his house for maybe a total of like 5 hours because we got there late Friday, we got back late Saturday, and we left early. But it seems like we spent a lot of time together. But it was great. So,
well, it was quality time, and that makes all the difference. I've had moments where I've been with my family and we're all in the same room together, but there's not a lot of quality interaction going on.
A lot of moments
you get to have those one-on-ones or group conversations where you're it's not just about the weather or what how's life back west or east or whatever,
or Ohio State.
You get to have,
we didn't even talk sports. Like we didn't even talk sports. I mean,
that's crazy.
A couple comments, but like we didn't. And there's so much to talk about with football season right around the corner. Ohio State probably having the best offense ever known to man. And then there's the Browns crap. But anyway, it's we didn't even talk about it. And Judy, his wife, was so lovely and gracious. They were just at my mom and dad's for 7 days. Mark was gone 2 weeks prior to that. Then they go to my mom and dad's for 7 days. They're moving, cleaning, scrubbing stuff. They come back and like, surprise, we're gonna be with you for a couple of days. And then on Sunday we were gonna stay another day and come back Monday. But Judy had family in town. They came over, so they haven't really had a break for a while. But she was gracious to let us stay there.
They're probably napping right now.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think she had met Judy once. And again, we didn't spend much time with them, but Annetta keeps on talking about Judy and how much she enjoyed meeting her, and hopefully we can spend more time soon. Anyway, so that's that part. And now Sunday. So again, I didn't have really a whole lot of expectations other than I really thought I was going to be like, coming out of the water, like you see people triumphant and so forth. And so we got down there early. The baptisms were first. It was at this really cool outdoor music venue in Columbus called Kemba Live. And they have an outdoor theater and they have an indoor theater right downtown, right across from Huntington Park where the Columbus Clippers play, which is AAA Guardians. I said Guardians. I didn't even say Indians. By the way, the red hot fire, 2 games out of first place, 5 games over 500, Cleveland Guardians. So it was a really cool place. But the moment I got in the parking lot, I was like, oh crap. I just was not like, everything just started flooding me. It started with the last year and everything that's happened, all the different moments, all the different feelings, all the different conversations with God, the dying, reliving, being gone, to all the other moments in my life, dating back to when I was a kid. It was just like my whole life was flashing before me, and I was so overwhelmed. I mean, it looked like I was miserable. I mean, it had to look like I was miserable because my knees were wobbling. I could barely walk. I had my cane with me because I knew I was not going to be able to. I knew it was going to be emotional. So I don't know. It was just, we walked in, then they gave us, shirt, and I had to go change and stuff, and they gave us instructions and so forth. And it was probably, by the time I got there, we got there about 9:40. I think baptism happened at about 10:25-ish. somewhere around there. And the whole time, people were saying stuff, and Netta was saying stuff. I don't really know what was going on. I was trying to hold it together. I've never tried to hold it together so much in my entire life, because I knew if I let it go, I would be in a fetal position. I was so overwhelmed. But it looked like I was miserable, but I was so grateful.
Have to carry you and put you in.
That's what I was worried about that too. I'm like, they're not going to get me out of this tub. So yeah, I don't even know. I was so in awe. That's a better word for it. I was so in awe, and everything was so crystal clear of how God has been working in my life and leading me to this moment. And I wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous. I was just completely overwhelmed and completely in awe. And I wasn't expecting to feel that then. I feel that other moments, but this was like everything at one time, like my whole life in one thing. So, I went, this is the part that, so I met Stephanie, who was doing the baptism the night before at the dinner. Another little funny story for dinner. AJ from Elevation was there, and I met him, and he sat at our table. He does a lot of the online ministry stuff and a lot of the youth stuff, and a really cool guy. He's didn't play. He's a Steelers fan, unfortunately, so I kind of left him there. But for somehow he's asking my name, because my name tag is just the J period. It's just the initial. And he's asking me about it. I'm like, yeah, it's a long story, which it isn't. But so I told him the story, but then I said, I'm really upset because people like from my past who've only known me as Jay when we knew each other now call me Jason because of Facebook. Facebook will not let me put J, the initial. I can put J period, C period, or anything else, like A period, J period for AJ. It will not let me just put J period. And I cannot just put J. I just mentally, I can't, that's not my name. So AJ's like, you know what? You need to put just change your name to J dot. Just like literally DOT, just to screw with Facebook. I'm like, yeah. So if you see on my Facebook thing, I changed my name to J dot Pine. So little funny story. I like it. Yeah. I like the story. And then awesome. It was fine. So I told, Stephanie, I kind of just said it was a long year and everything. She doesn't know the story about me being gone and all that stuff. And so I get in the tub, and it's up the stairs and then down into the stairs, and and the Elevation worship songs are playing, and it was just emotional. I get in the water, and it's like I know they're gonna lean me back and put it in my mouth. It's all gonna come out, and I'm gonna So hold on, I think somehow. Hold on a second. I'm seeing my computer. No, okay. It looked like it went off, like it stopped recording, but never mind. So I get in there, and I'm trying to hold it together, and she's asking me a couple of questions, and she's smiling at me, and I'm just, the only thing I can utter out of my mouth is, it's been a long year, and this is one of those things that's just, it's funny. It's like there's this other than God there right then and there in that water with me. Is she looked at me and said, guess what she said? Take a guess. There's still so much for you to do.
Oh, I'm blank.
Come
on, yeah.
The same words that Jesus said to me when I was gone and sent me back. I was like, you what? It didn't even, if you look at the video, it didn't register on my face, and I was just like, but I was like internally, I'm like, that didn't just happen. I was just like, the exact same words that Jesus said to me when I was gone and sent me back. She just happened to say, she just said, there's still so much for you to do. Yep. I'm like, I was just, I think about it, I'm just smiling and I laugh because it's like, you can't explain that. There's no way that that's a coincidence.
No.
You couldn't write that. It's like, so, it took me a while. So I got out of the tub, and again, you look at me, none of that registers. It registered internally, and I'm going through those conversations in my head, but I'm still trying to hold it together. I get out, And I did, like, you see me a little bit, like I start heaving a little bit. Took me a little bit, but everybody, there's a whole bunch of people out there cheering you on and so forth. It was really great. And then I go in and get changed, and I had a moment in the bathroom, which doesn't sound real good. I was by myself in the bathroom changing, and I had a moment there. And came out in kind of a different thing. Then I was like reflecting on what she said, and I'm like, and I totally forgot to tell Anetta too. I didn't tell her till the ride back, till we were going home. It's like, I forgot to tell you this. So when I came out of the bathroom, I changed, and I was ready to go, and I was feeling good. And so I knew they were doing a service. We had VIP seats. Everybody got baptized at front row seats in the indoor thing, and they were going to do a worship service. I knew they'd play music. It's Elevation. I knew I knew they'd bring some people to play music or partner with somebody local to play. Elevation. The band was there. The actual Elevation worship band was there, and I was just like, no. I was like.
Wow.
I just assumed it was going to be, the B team or whatever, and they came out, and I'm like, that made things so great for me. Like, I was already on cloud 9, but having them, so we got this little mini concert in the second row, and then of course they play Graves to Gardens, and then I lose it there. When they play Graves to Gardens, it was just, it was like four songs, but it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And having them there made the entire thing so much better. It was just
icing on the cake for sure.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest version of the story. But the ride back, we came back, and I sat here on Monday morning. I got up and sat in my chair that the previous year I was, just kind of, I had to be in because I couldn't move, and sitting in that meadow, looking at the meadow, and thinking about, not just thinking about what had transpired, but I remember that the joy of that spot wasn't there for me. I saw it as beautiful and I loved it, but I was there the previous year, and I was so moved by the beauty of it and everything. And last year it just wasn't. And all of a sudden it was so much clearer that Monday morning. I was just like, I was seeing it differently, and that beauty and joy that I had before, sitting there, everything seemed different. Everything seemed like it was much clearer in that spot, and the trees blowing and everything. It was just, I can't really explain it, but it was different than sitting there the year before and how I saw it. But so one other quick story, and I'll shut up.
Absolutely.
I had another one of those moments, like the moment with my brother. And those are, there's moments like that. There's a handful of them in my life that I'll just never forget, and that was one of them. And so on Monday night, so it was Monday night, or maybe Tuesday, one of those. Somebody said that one of the camp workers put a thing out and said, "Hey, we're going to go up to the barn and play games." I'm like, "Not without me, you're not." We were at a baseball game, one of the kids' games. I said, "Well, I'm not going to be there," but Midwest thing. But it's, we grew up, we sit around all the time just playing. I played euchre more than I played baseball, probably. So they were playing euchre, and one of them was learning how to play. First of all, it was just funny watching it because the two guys that knew how to play were like they're like. Oh, they're like being patient, but they're like, it was comical watching. It was just comical watching. Vicky, who I had a moment with last year, they left the campground like the second week after I was home from the hospital. They had to leave unexpectedly. Their child was having a baby, so they decided they're going to go home. So I had a moment with them the night they left, just right in this spot. Her and her husband stayed with me, and they wanted to hear my whole story. So it's the first time I actually told the full story to anybody other than you and Anetta and it was just one of those moments when they prayed over me, and it was just, like, again, I can't really explain it. It was just amazing. So she wanted to hear the baptism story. She knew I was in Columbus, wanted to hear it, but we waited till the Euchre game was ended. So I told the story, and others there told other stories about their relationship with God. We sat there and talked. The other couple, he was an ex-pastor here in Northern Michigan, and they didn't know my story, so they were like, everybody was crying, and it was just seeing the power of the story, and me again not understanding why God's asking me to tell it. I see that.
Yeah.
And as I'm seeing my friend Alicia posted something, and I'm hopefully gonna get her on the show. I'm seeing what she said about that. I'm hoping, because I want her to share her story if she's willing to do so. But she reached out to me after seeing the baptism video, and it's moments like that just that validate. Like it just not validate, but it's just like, again, I don't understand why God's calling me to do this, but I see moments like that. And they were telling me, you don't need to understand. It's not for you to understand. Just go tell it. And so it was just one of those moments we were all, and then they all prayed over me at the end. And it was just, again, me being a basket kid. It was just one of those moments that I'll never forget. Just random, spontaneous moments like that. That was just amazing. So yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. It doesn't necessarily validate. That's kind of a tricky word, but it does affirm.
Yeah.
It absolutely affirms and confirms that, God is going to use your story to, impact people, and, and it will time and time again.
Yeah. I've really been thinking about that a lot since Monday, and, some other people have reached out to me, seen the video and so forth. And I actually did finally start writing. At least organizing my thoughts for
right?
the book / musical / movie thing.
Love it.
So yes, I think it's a different story. I think it's a different take on the story, because so much is still unfinished. It's not like I have a message to share with anybody necessarily. Like the 90 Minutes in Heaven and all these other people have had experiences that have shared their stories. I didn't feel like I should share my story because there's still so much unanswered for me, but I think that's part of it. I think that's why,
Yeah. Yep.
that most people are in that same spot. There's not always a Hollywood happy ending, and not to say my story doesn't have it, it does, but it's just, there's not that punchline, I guess, or whatever. I don't know. I can't figure it out, but what they said to me that night is like, it's not for you to figure out.
Not yet. It's
So
yeah.
Yep.
He's giving you the peace that passes understanding, and sometimes it's better to have peace than it is to have understanding. Yeah. And you're settling in, and he's opening doors, and he's giving you opportunities. The long and short of it is, for all of us, there's going to be a lot of fruit that we don't see this side of heaven. When we get up there, we're going to run into people, and they're going to be like, I'm the ripple effect of you sharing with this person who came along and, had an encounter with me and changed my life forever. Right. So there's a lot of that's going to happen in our lives that, we don't see everything unfold right before us. It really is. It'll just be we'll see the after effects and be pleasantly surprised that, I just did this one simple thing, and look at the impact that it had.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I let go of some stuff that on Monday, and not questioning why I should be telling my story. And again, we've talked about this before. He's kind of showed me how to, or one way to do that, which is, you'll be hearing more about, but I started taking steps towards that. So, I feel good. I'm drained. I'm drained. I'm still, the cognitive stuff is still really difficult for me. I was wondering, like last time we had the show, I told you about what happened at the movie. Like we did the movie here. Remember, I couldn't figure out the money, and like I was
right.
Did I don't know if I told you. I think it was later that week. Did I tell you the one about Subway? When I was in Subway?
I do not believe. I do not
Yeah,
believe
we'll
we
do it
got
another
that
time.
one.
It's just I had another
Nope.
moment like that was worse than the movie one. So I just the cognitive stuff is
Okay.
trying to figure out. And what you said to me on that show really helped. Again, similar circumstance, just kind of trusting God will give me back that ability or whatever. I have to. I have to believe it because I can't not because I can't imagine that I have to
the
go through
definition.
another 50 years with my brain working the way it does. So but that's another show. So anyway,
the definition.
Go ahead. Did I lose you there? You there? Earth to Doug.
Oh, sorry. I'm getting some choppy.
You were frozen in this really funny.
So
you were frozen in this really funny position. You were like,
I'm sure.
You're like, is he there? Is he not there? Am I here? Am I live? So anyway,
I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you to be like, and I was like, okay, wait till you don't hear any noise, and then he's done. No, I was just going to say the definition of faith, according to Hebrews chapter 11, right? It's the assurance of things hoped for. It's the evidence of things unseen, right? So the very essence of faith is that, it's not something that we can do. It's something that we have to believe that's going to appear in front of us. And for you, I again, in relationship to, you getting back what has been briefly stolen from you, it's just trusting that God is the Redeemer, and he always gives back, and he gives back in greater amounts than even what has been taken from us. So believing that that's going to happen, and you're going to have another story to tell people.
Yeah. One of the other things you said during that was, again, I think my impatience was getting to me, and I that in between what you said and then there was something also. The message from last Sunday was that if you haven't moved on to whatever's next, that's just God's way of telling you that there's still a miracle and there's still work or there's still learning you have to do right now in this moment. And so it made me step back and do what I had been doing this whole season. It's like being patient, following where God's leading me, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, versus me getting in the way of that and trying to force it because I'm impatient or I want it back or whatever it is. So that was really helpful. A reminder.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. Amen. Man.
Amen.
I still can talk though. I still.
Hey, look, we're
right at an hour, but we were going to talk about the book, Doug.
Just a tiny bit. We'll do the book another time. This story is a good story. I don't want to put anything on top of it.
All right, let's do this.
Hearing what God's been doing in your life is.
Let's do this. Let's we'll do our schedules and see if we can't do it. This week. Wednesday or Thursday, hopefully Wednesday, but look at our schedules and let's designate that time. I don't think this was the last thing looming for right now. So I think we're good for it. And I do want to dive back into the book, and I want to talk to you outside of this, and maybe we can start the next few shows, start talking about putting together this conference we have talked about since episode 1. I've done some work on my thoughts on what we can do and so forth, and kind of the format and stuff like that, which we haven't talked about yet. So we'll do that on our own, and we'll come back and share it with you all when we're ready. But I'm excited about that because, again, your book. It's so funny because when I was starting to jot down my stuff and kind of organize my thoughts, I was thinking about you and your book and how I wanted that thing you do of making sure I come full circle, which if obviously listen to me talk, they don't always do. So I was thankful for you in that moment because I'm like, I got to make sure whatever I do, I come back around to what I'm making sure I'm saying what I'm going to say and so forth. So we'll figure it out.
Amen. We will.
All right, my friend. Thank you again.
I'm just getting back in my groove.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. How's the car? Car good?
Car's great.
Yeah.
Car's great. Yeah.
Awesome.
My wife even drove it while I was gone, and it still is great.
I don't know why my daughter's calling me when she knows I'm doing a live show. She's FaceTiming. Let's see what she wants.
Know. She loves you.
Is the camper on fire? Do you have a broken leg? Are you bleeding somewhere? Is somebody else hurt? You do know I'm doing a live show right now, right, Juji?
Hey, Juji.
Uncle Doug says hi. Love you. All right. Yeah, just before we go, I just want to, again, thank you, Doug, for everything you've done and you being here. I don't know how I would have done all this and continue to do this without you and your guys' support. And, and maybe sometimes you don't even realize, or maybe I don't tell you, but you don't realize how much you help just talking and your perspective on things and your words. And maybe you don't realize the effect you have, but it's profound. And I'm so thankful for you.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not crying for the rest of the week.
We're thankful for your impact in our lives. We like I said, we consider it an honor. We love you guys. We had a rough time when we first met, and you guys were there for us, and it was a needed relationship in that moment, that the things that we were going through. So, I'm just returning the favor best I can. But excited about what we get to do from this point forward together.
Me too.
Me
too.
And then one day we'll get a chance to actually be together and have some amazing food and do this face to face, which I'm so looking forward to.
I'm building a pizza oven this week, by the way. I'm building a pizza oven at the campsite. Not buying one, the $600 ones that I'm seeing everywhere that I want so badly. I'm building one that's going to cost me like $40, but supposedly they're awesome. But
there you go.
I will take plenty of pictures.
Cool.
I posted a picture. Remember the ceviche pizza we had talked about? Somebody had commented on Facebook, saw it like this week. They said, "You got to tell me about that pizza." I'm like, "You had to be there." But
All right,
brother.
We'll let you in on our secrets.
Yes, we will. All right. We'll talk soon. Love you. Have a great week.
Yes, sir.
And we'll touch base and
You
figure
as
out our
well.
schedules for next show.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Let's see if I can close this out properly. Let's see if that works.
Oh, there we go.
Let's see if this works. I didn't test this prior, so see everybody.
Here we go.
In my soul, in my soul, in my soul.